You're probably using shared mailboxes to manage communications such as support, sales, invoices at yourcompany.com. Well, if you're using directly the Outlook client to organize those communications, you're probably suffering a lot of human error, which is natural because you depend on humans classifying in folders and so on. Now, if you are using Microsoft 365, you have out of the box with the stuff that you already have, a different way to manage using applications, processes, and even including artificial intelligence into the mix. Stay in the video to see how. Alright, so what we want to do is, instead of working with the Outlook client to handle emails, what we want to do is work in an application that we've built using Microsoft technology to handle email communications in a more scalable way. For example, here we have a custom-made CRM, and what we have is that we can create emails out of the box from here, which will be triggering real emails using a shared mailbox, like invoices, sales, customer support, whatever. And here you can relay these emails to which client are we talking about and which project, ticket, or anything that you're working with in your process. If you do that, then you're going to be sending emails right out of these shared mailboxes without touching the Outlook client. So what's the difference then between these two approaches? The manual approach, how most companies and teams work, is that they have a shared mailbox, they receive emails there, and then someone manually is going to classify them, or maybe using rules in Outlook if you are more advanced, so that emails go to certain folders, and then a real person has to go through them, sort them out, and work with those emails, responding, classifying attachments, whatever it is your process. Now, this is, of course, very error prone, because we're humans and we're not perfect, and maybe somebody is sick and there's an email and you don't know if this person responded to your client, and you don't know if the attachment was actually saved in the proper client folder, etc., etc., etc. Now, instead, what we want to do is automate processes. And this is not only AI may be part of the mix, but what we want to do is basically handle it this way. We have a receiving mailbox, just as always, which could also work in Outlook, but we don't connect to Outlook. What we do is connect to Power Apps, an application made for this process. Now, an automatic process is going to do the syncing. We don't have to worry about synchronizing this mailbox with the application. This is happening behind the scenes. And because we are using this technology, Microsoft Power Platform, we can attach automations and artificial intelligence. For example, routing these type of emails from this client to this person, or processing the attachments automatically so that we save them in a specific folder, etc. And AI, of course, to create draft responses, summaries, or whatnot. And then from the app, we are going to respond. And from the app, we are able to manage lots of emails in an organized manner in the context of a team, not a single person. Now, of course, this application that you've seen to manage these emails is made with Power Apps. And if you follow my channel, this is no surprise. So what we are going to do is go to an environment that we have access and start configuring. And now let me make this bigger. What we want to do is, in an environment where you are administrator, go to the environment and access the admin center. Going here, go to admin center. Now, when you go to the admin center, you're going to land, here. In the Power Platform Admin Center, we have a lot of configurations, apart from what we see here in this landing zone. To do there, we have to go to settings. If we go to settings, we'll see that there's plenty of stuff about email configuration. And this is not the video where we go and dive deep into these email configurations, but just bear in mind that you probably don't have to touch any of these configurations. Here is where we configure special things, like, for example, what's the attachment size that we are going to allow in this mailbox, things like that. So to test this out, you don't need to touch anything here. What you need to do is prepare and create a queue. Okay, what are queues? We'll see in a moment. So we go to queues, and here, basically you have to create a new queue. Let it load, come on. So here you have to just create a new queue. And let me show you one that's already working. As you can see that here we already have an incoming email. When you create a queue, you give it the name that you want, but the important thing is that you create and add this incoming email in this field. This is the same email that you would have created when setting up the shared mailbox. Now, once we do that, ensure that this is toggled to all email messages, right? And because here we have different configurations that apply to Dynamics, don't worry about that, just use all email messages. Now, when you do that, you have to then configure the mailbox through this button. We go to Open Mailbox, and then we go to the associated mailbox to this queue. Now, what we have to do is ensure that here the email address is the same, right, from the queue that we have just created. And basically, the only thing that we have to worry about is approving the email, which is just a click away, and then testing and enable the mailbox, which is again one click, clicking OK, and it's done. Now, if you have any issues through this process, of course, let me know in the comments, but probably what you will have is a lack of privileges, a lack of permissions in your environment. Why? In order to do this configuration, you have to have certain rights, of course, because not everybody should be able to do and configure these actions. Now, what you need is that you have a security role in place. What's a security role? If we go to the environment, you configure what a person can do inside an environment via security roles, which are here, security roles. And the role that you need to assign to your user, it's one called Delegated Mailbox Approver. The name says it all, right? Now you need to have this role assigned to you, or if you are a global admin in your company, basically with system administrator and your global administrator or global exchange administrator from a tenant level, you are good to go. Now let's see how to configure this process starting from the shared mailbox. So if you need to test this out, what you need is a fresh shared mailbox that you can use for testing purposes. For that, we have to have access or ask somebody to go into the Exchange Admin Center and create a new shared mailbox. Shared mailboxes are basically that. Once you create them, you don't need a special license, because when you are creating a shared mailbox using whatever email address and name you want to use, the users you assign to this shared mailbox will share their mail capacity with this shared mailbox. If in the future in production you need additional capacity, you can always buy more, let's say, mailbox licenses, Outlook Exchange licenses, and assign them to this shared mailbox so that you gain more gigabytes of storage, among other things. So once this is configured, we can start using any app that you have built for these purposes. Now, what can you do? You can really just work with the out-of-the-box stuff, like sending emails from here, as we saw before, sending an email and then selecting who is it to, and then you can do additional stuff like related to which is the client and which is the record or the ticket or the case, whatever you are working with, which is completely customizable. This is Power Apps, so you can customize to build whatever process you need to fill using these functionalities. Now, one of the cool things that we can do here as well is, for example, let's say that in this custom CRM we're using records like for law firms, you know, that they have records to manage a law case, but instead of records it could be whatever, a ticket, sales, appointment, whatever you want, that you have a certain process in it. And because we can customize this properly, we can send emails related to this very record. And what we do is just create an email and the appropriate fields like who is the client and which record it is going to be filled in automatically. And then if we do that, we will have certain perks, like for example, we have this timeline control where we see all the phone calls, emails, notes, tasks, whatever you are working with here, so that you can search them real quick, which is basically what any CRM should give you. So this is it. This is how you configure shared mailboxes to be used with Power Apps. And from there, you build your own CRM, your own support system, whatever you need with this amazing technology. If you need help doing that, you can always contract my services through my company called BTV Consulting, where we offer customization services, implementation with this Microsoft technology. Now with that, see you in the next video.